Well, hello, Radiant Church. Pastor Jeremy here. It is Friday, May 29th, and I want to talk to you about our plans for reopening. Now, before I get into the details of that plan, let me just say this. We will be having our first in-person service on June 7th, the first in-person service that we've had since March 15th. That's happening. Also, this coming Sunday, May 31st, we will be having an in-person gathering in the afternoon here at the church facility. So now let me get into the details of that. Let me explain. If you remember from last week, the video Ryan and I posted last week, giving you an update, we talked about, and it was in response to when President Trump had made his statement and he had pointed us to the CDC guidelines that gave us guidance in how churches could reopen. And one of the things that we were, at that point, we gave a goal of June 7th. And the reason we set the goal of June 7th, one of the reasons, is that we were wanting to give time for the state government to give us clarity on capacity. Because that's one of the things it says in the CDC guidelines that President Trump referred us to, is that the capacity of the church service was to be determined by the local and state authorities. So we were waiting for that. Well, that clarity came. And just this week, the clarity was this, is that in phase 2, churches can meet at 25% capacity or at 50 people, whichever one is lower. And in phase 1, starting immediately, churches can gather up to 100 people outside. So, given that clarity, what is our plan? Our elders met last night, and we were in unity and coming together with a plan. And this is the plan. Again, June 7th, we will be having an in-person service. Now, whether or not that service will be held outside or inside is dependent upon whether or not we are in phase 2 or not. Now, there was a complication, because if you're aware, I'm sure you're aware, Clark County was moving into phase 2. But on Saturday, this news of this outbreak at a fruit packing plant threw a wrench in that that whole plan. And now our application to move into phase 2 is on pause. Now, I want to just express on behalf of myself and all the elders how disappointed we are at this complication. But I just want to assure you that we're doing everything we can to try to gather together in the most normal kind of way, as soon as possible, in the most normal way possible, so that we can see one another, be together, fellowship with one another, encourage one another, and worship together. So we're doing everything we can to do that as soon as possible. And so we're disappointed about this complication, but I am also very encouraged that we will be seeing many of you very soon. Now, you might ask the question, why not this weekend? Why not do the outdoor service this week? And if you remember from last week, one of the other reasons we had the target date of June 7th was some tech issues that we've been working through. Our internet has been having all kinds of issues, just not reliable. It'll drop down to nothing. And that could not get resolved because of the lockdown. The techs were not allowed to come in our building and work on it. As hard as we tried, and as much as Ron tried to work with them, and Ryan we tried to work with them as much as we could, they would not do that. They just recently lifted that restriction, and so they actually came in this week, and it looks like they got that issue resolved. Now we're working through some software stuff so that we can ensure that when we have our in-person gathering, that everyone who chooses not to come, for whatever reason, doesn't get left out. That when we go live, that we're able to go live and provide them with a Sunday morning service, and that they won't be left behind. I want to care for everyone, those who want to come, those who were coming, they're not ready to come back at this point, they don't feel safe in coming back, or they're in a demographic or a population group that is at risk for the virus and everything, and they just want to stay home. I want everyone to be able to worship with us in our Sunday morning service. So that's why we're giving it another week to work out all those technical kinks, so that on the 7th, when we meet in person, we're also able to go live, and everyone at home can also have a service and worship with us together. Now, what's happening this Sunday? So this Sunday, May 31st at 2 o'clock, we're having a Pentecost roundup. Sunday is the day of Pentecost. And so what we're going to do is here at the church outside, we're going to be having a time of worship, a time of prayer and just a time of fellowship. And so I encourage you, if you feel safe and if you'd like to come, to come. All of the elders want to make it very clear that we're not telling you to come. But please hear my heart that if you don't feel like it's safe to come, or if you don't want to come, then fine. That's great. You'll be able to catch us online and do what you've been doing these last number of weeks. But for those who do feel comfortable in coming, we want to provide a place where you can be encouraged, where we can be the body of Christ. So details about June 7th and how that's going to look, what time will that service, and where exactly in the church grounds, whether it's inside or outside, all that information will be forthcoming. But one thing I wanted to let you know is that in terms of making this a safe environment, when we do meet, whether we're outside or inside, we are going to be following the CDC guidelines that President Trump pointed us to last week. Those are the guidelines that we're going to be following. So blessings upon you. I'm, again, disappointed about the complication with phase 2, but I'm so encouraged that we do have a way forward where we can meet together for all those who would like to. So blessings upon you. Catch us this Sunday, though, at 10 o'clock. We have a service coming to you. We're continuing on in our series in the book of Proverbs, looking at wisdom. Pastor Ryan's going to be bringing the word this week, so I encourage you to catch us at 10 o'clock for that service. And again, if you would like to come and join us at 2 o'clock for our Pentecost roundup, we'll look forward to seeing you there. Blessings upon you.